Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome to the round room or the pillar room of the Rotunda Hospital, a place steeped in the history of Dublin and a place steeped in the history of this country. My name is Charlie Bird. I'm the chairman for today's proceedings. I was asked last week if I would chair this gathering. I was asked by somebody who I couldn't say no to, but I was more than happy to be here this morning. In a way, I'm a child of the 60s. I remember Selma. I remember the civil rights marches in Ireland, in America. I remember the anti-apartheid movement in Ireland. But one of the first jobs I had, one of the people I worked with, this young man struggled every day with his sexuality. After a number of years, he eventually came out. This was around the mid-70s. Remember, this was 20 years before homosexuality was decriminalized in this country. But I believe that we have taken a great journey, that we have moved on. And today is evidence of that. This is, for me, a bottom-up campaign. This is the people looking for marriage equality. And it has come from the Constitutional Convention. It's not about any one organization, not about any one group of people. And by looking across the sea of faces here today, it is really important. You can just see the numbers of people from civil society, all the political parties, every single one of the political parties in Ireland are here today. Many, many organizations, trade union groups, women's groups, people with allegiances to different churches, they are all here today. For me, it is just simple. Two people who love one another should have the right to get married, regardless of their sexuality. Lesbian or gay. So if we just remember one thing, it's that the sky's not going to fall in. It's not going to fall in. And on the 22nd of May, I'm convinced that Ireland has definitely grown up. It has moved on. The arc of history has moved on. In 1973, just remember, in 1973, when a woman got married, she had to give up her job in the civil service. People forget that. We have moved on, and I believe that there is an innate goodness and kindness and honesty in the Irish people, and that is what is going to win this day. Mammies are really important. So it's not just for the couples, it is also for their friends and for their families, for mothers and fathers and uncles and aunties. And we all know someone, every single one of us, not just the people who are in this room, who are committed in many ways, but outside in the broader community. We all know somebody. So I say a yes vote on the 22nd of May. But far more important than anybody else in this room are the four people who are sitting up here, whom I'm about to talk to for a few minutes. And I'm asking you to bear with me just for a couple of minutes so you can hear their stories. And after that, we will have the three main speakers, and then there will be questions from the media. But I would ask you just to bear with me for a number of minutes while I talk to these four people here. So I'm joined now by Patrick Dempsey, who's 21 and he's from the Liberties. I'm also joined by Laura Bulger, and I called her earlier Gillian, but it's Jill McKenna. Laura is a guard, and Jill works with the Special Olympics. And finally, with Enda Morgan, who's a band musician. He actually told me that he was a wedding band musician, but I think we'll leave that aside. But I want to talk to these people about why it is important for them, the significance of this day for them. So if we can start with Laura and with Gillian. Can you just tell the group of people here, whichever one of you wants to take up the story first, a little bit about your journey and why you're here today?
I suppose we're together 7 years. We were good friends before we got into a relationship. So I can say that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with my best friend. We had a civil partnership almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, we discussed whether to have a civil partnership or not. We were kind of saying, will we just wait until we could have, full civil marriage equality? But then there were certain, rights and protections afforded to us by civil partnership, and it was really important that, we look out for each other in that sense. So that's why we decided to have a civil partnership. But it was kind of like a stopgap, really, until we can have full civil marriage and full rights and protections for each other, and that's really important to us.
So on the 22nd of May, you want everybody in this country to vote yes. A vote in yes, what would it mean for you, and what would it mean for your families?
I suppose both of our siblings have had weddings. They both got married, and my other siblings are in relationships with people, and our families see our relationship exactly the same and equal as they do our siblings. So I suppose for us it would be really important that this law comes through so that we can be protected and have the same protections as our siblings do, and our friends and our families.
Yeah, our families don't see us as any different, and don't see our relationship as any different. And they, people casually say, "Oh, well, you're married," and we have to say, "Well, we're not quite married. It's civil partnership, and it's not the same. But hopefully someday we will be able to be married, and it won't be an issue at all." So
what you want is that final recognition of the love which you have for one another.
Yeah, it's very important to us, and we're lucky enough we're here today, and we have a voice and we can use our voice. There's a lot of people around the country who don't have a voice, people who are struggling with their sexuality, and it's not easy. It's a lot to get your own head around, never mind trying to, get everyone else to accept who you are as well. And this could be a very important step to say, you know what, you're just as good as everyone else, you're just the same as everyone else, and that's all we're asking for. And so it's really, really important that we have a yes vote.
There you are. That's their story. Thank you very much, Laura and Jill. Patrick Dempsey, you're 21 and you're from the Liberties in Dublin. What has you here today?
Well, I guess it's about 6 or 7 years since I've come out now at this point, and in those years since I've come out, I went to school, I've made friends, gay friends, thanks to a service I belong to, but I guess my journey in school was quite difficult. I experienced a lot of bullying in school almost every day. I eventually left school without a leaving certificate because the bullying was really bad, and that kind of led me to becoming impassioned about an issue like this and other issues about equality, because I see a sheer sense of frustration around people that are just like me, who are having to continue to fight all of the time, constantly, just to prove that they're deserving of equal rights, equal aspirations, and equal futures to their siblings, their friends, and their peers.
And how important would a yes vote be for you on the 22nd of May?
It's important to me for quite a few reasons. I guess a big one for me is the full realisation that I'm among the first generation that is not seeking the protection of a closet, but seeking the protection of the law. And that's something that's very, very important to me as a young person. Another thing is I see a shared sense of frustration with my sisters and my mother and my father, that they see the inequality that I have before the law. This is something they care about quite a lot, and they will be going out to vote. My two sisters, for the very first time, will be going out to vote. And I guess they see that shared sense of frustration that I have. And another thing as well is that I want to have equal aspirations as anyone else that I know. I want to envisage anything in my future and to not be limited or bound by the law or by the Constitution.
You're some one man, Patrick. Fair dues to you. You're bloody brilliant. Okay, as I said, the next man is Enda, and I was talking with him earlier, and he told me that he was a wedding band musician. And I said, what exactly is a wedding band musician? But Enda's story is also important. Enda Morgan's story is also important. Enda, just tell us why you're sitting on this stage today.
Okay. I'm sitting here because of my daughter. I'm a married man with 4 children. I'm married 30 years. And my eldest daughter is Rachel. She's 27 years of age. And about 5 years ago, Rachel came out to myself and my wife. And that was a very harrowing evening when that happened. Not from the point of view that Rachel is gay. My eldest brother is also gay. So Rachel knows that I, for a long time, have had a touching point with the gay community. What I found harrowing about it was how upset Rachel was when she told us. She was shaking, she was crying uncontrollably. To hold your daughter in her 20s in your arms like that as a parent is very, very difficult. It's very distressing. And what distressed me most was that Rachel bottled this up for quite a number of years before she came to me, even though she knows that I know a lot of people in the LGBT community. So what frightened me even more than that was the fact that if that was how Rachel felt, how are other people out there feeling that don't have a parent that would be so understandable or amenable to what she's about to impart? And I asked Rachel about it, and she said, Dad, yes, there are many, many, many people out there who have still not come out to their closest, to the nearest and dearest. And this is why this referendum is so important. It's so important to bring us up another step on the ladder, an extra 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. We can't have our children. Rachel suffered from anxiety and panic attacks. She suffered from them for over a year, and we couldn't figure out where this was coming from. And from the day that Rachel told me, it all stopped. She's just blossomed and flourished. She's happy, she's confident, she's got her mojo back, you know, and it's fantastic to see. And 2 years ago, she met the love of her life. Her name is Marion. And Rachel and Marion are very deeply in love. And every time I meet them, they come to our home. It's just fantastic love. It's the love that I have from my wife. It's the love of any heterosexual relationship. And it's the same love that Rachel and Marion have. And you mentioned earlier on about the fact that I am a wedding musician. Yes, I am. Over the last couple of years, since from 2012, I've played at some same-sex civil partnerships. I've played the ceremony music at it. The first one I did was in Finstown House in June 2012. And it was the first same-sex civil union that I had played at since Rachel came out to me. And I found that really, really emotional. I was standing up the top of the room, we were singing and playing, and the two girls walked in, Kathy and Pauline, and love walked into that room. And I looked around the room, and around that room, all around the room was their grannies, their granddads, the aunts, the uncles, and everybody just had a wonderful, wonderful day. The love walked in the room. It's the same love that walks into every room for every wedding I play at. It's the exact same love. And, sorry, I know I'm going on, Charlie. I won't be, I've just finished.
I want you to go on.
The real point I'm trying to get across here is that I think this will be such progress. Just please, let's continue to destigmatize and to make our children more comfortable. Don't bottle it up. Don't live in this anxiety, because every one of us here has a touching point with somebody within the LGBT community. Every one of us. It's our LGBT family. Please do it for our family. Rachel and Marion they don't want to go down on knees to each other and say, will you join me in a civil union? They say, I want to marry you. Please let it happen.
All I can say, it's a sort of a goosebump moment. Their stories, the stories that you've just heard from these four people, it speaks volumes. But remember one thing, the stories from these four people here this morning could be replicated all over this country. That is the reality of it. It could be replicated all over this country. And that's why it is important that this coming together of a national campaign, a group of people, that you go out to work to get that yes vote on the 22nd of May. So if I can say thank you very much to Enda, to Patrick, to Laura, and Rachel. Sorry, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on, but as I said earlier, there are many, every political party in the country is supporting this campaign. There are many organisations. I'll name just some of them. I'm not going to name, it would take the whole day, by the way. The Irish Congress of Trade Unions, the National Women's Council of Ireland, FLAC, Men's Development Network, the INTO, SIPTU, CPSU, Pave Point, and there are equality groups all over this country. And there are politicians from all the political parties here this morning, and we agreed we're not going to name them. They are here. They know why they're here themselves in their heart. But I will mention one person who couldn't be here because he's sick in hospital today, and that's Senator David Norris.